Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome, my friends. My name is Vincenzo. Yes, indeed. And the channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. I am so excited, folks. I mean, I've been waiting for a good Chinese pen to come out in 2024. So far, the few offerings we've had, Jinao has just repeated, different colors of existing pens. Majon has come out with a so-and-so pen. Same thing with Admoc. A lot of people not happy with that, with those offerings. And Dieman tried with their, Year of the Dragon pens, and I don't think they scored a big home run. But finally, Asvine has done it. I've got to tell you, I'm really excited about this offering. I think it's a beautiful pen. We're talking about the Asvine V200, a vacuum filler. I think well built. I'm just hoping that Asvine nib does what it usually supposed to do, and that I don't regret not having bought the same pen with the Bach nib. So stay tuned, folks. I think we've got an exciting pen here. Okay, so we're back with the box. Typical Asvine cardboard box, where inside you'll find the typical Asvine plastic box. Nice touch. One of the advantages, I guess, but I think most of them are doing it now, but at the very start, I remember that some of these, when you order from AliExpress or even Etsy, I forget which, but they wouldn't provide you the wrench, at least with some of the Dieman pens, etc., or even the Majon. I think in one instance you had to buy it separately, which was ridiculous. So the advice being given by other reviewers was ask your pen dealer or pen seller to the merchant to provide you with one. But when you buy from Amazon, it's not a question. It comes in the box. It doesn't come in simple, shrink wrap. And nice touch. I mean, I've got a few of these, but, at least the wrench is there. And should I ever want to sell the pen, I'd be able to include it. There's the typical Asvine fountain pen instruction manual. That's good for piston fillers and vacuum filling systems like the one in this pen. And here's the pen, folks. It sits there. It was in a protective plastic sleeve. This is the plastic sleeve that it was in. And here's the pen. Let's take a look at this beauty. Now, the reason why I'm so excited about this pen is that for years, I've been thinking about purchasing a Conid bulk filler. But folks, it's $800, $900. So you would always hesitate to purchase. And when I saw this pen for the first time being advertised on Amazon, I said, my God, that really looks like a Conid. And yes, it does. Let me explain, and I'll put the picture up on the screen. You could see, I think it's a combination of the larger, oversized Conid bulk filler. So it has the length of the oversized one model, but it has the look of the regular sized Conid. And maybe even some of the attributes of other models. And they've kind of picked and chosen which ones, and there you have the pen. So I must say it's not a completely original design, if you will. It's highly inspired by the Conid. Now, in terms of quality, as you know, I'm not a technician, I'm not an engineer, and I keep repeating that because I think it's important for any reviewer to make sure that when he makes comments, if he feels comfortable with it, tant mieux. If not, he should at least provide the viewers with the necessary cautionary comments. But Doodlebud has reviewed this pen. Now, I know that Doodlebud got it a month before, and he was asked to do an interview, and some people might say, well, he's a little biased, but not Doodlebud. Doodlebud doesn't he's polite, he's professional, and he has given this pen, in terms of the technical build quality, I think, a very, very good score. I have maybe just one issue, and that I'm going to discuss later. But so in terms of build quality of this pen, just beautiful. Now, in terms of its details, as you could see, it's a clear demonstrator. It's got that beautiful, beautiful finial at the top, a very functional clip, the finial at the bottom with these O-rings, which were going to helps in the posting and in the grip as well. Titanium, so it's a little bit lighter than other metals. There's the Asvine engraved on the center band with the V200, which in my view is always a very, very nice touch. Nice clip. And there you have it. That's the outside of the pen. Now, let's see how many turns it opens up in. That's 1. So 1.5, a little bit more than 1.5 to reveal the nib. And the nib comes in, you have some choices there. You can either choose the Asvine nibs, extra fine, fine, and medium, or you can purchase the broad, the Bach that go up to broad, and they're a little more expensive. I think roughly $10-15 more. I went with the Asvine because, I like those nibs. They haven't let me down. But as you know, I've been getting more and more used to fine, so I got a fine as opposed to, did I get a fine or did I get a medium? A fine, yeah. I wanted to get a fine just because I have a lot of Asvine mediums. So there you have it, very comfortable in your hand. By the way, this section unscrews, which gives you access to, with an O-ring, it gives you access to the vacuum, to the barrel, so for cleaning purposes. Now, I did not try to remove the nib, but it doesn't look like it unscrews easily, so it probably is friction fit and you would have to remove it, I would guess, but I'm not going to fool around with that, not at least at this stage. I want the pen to write a little bit before I start fooling around with the nib, unless I really have to. Beautiful grip section here, I got to tell you, so that you can, maneuver the filling system up and down. Very nice. I mean, it does have a springiness to it. Very, very good mechanism. The cap, as you could see, has that step to seal, that sealing step, which is a very, very nice touch. Beautiful resin or plastic, whatever we referred this, clear demonstrator, acrylic, I guess it is. The section is also very nice. That titanium, it's kind of a no-slip feel, and that's what they advertise it as. The thread here, the threads are just immaculate. I mean, you can hardly feel them. And Doodlebud makes that comment that he looked at all the finishing and he said it was just done so well, which is a really nice touch on the part of Asvine, I must tell you. Does it post? Yes, it does post. Now, don't hesitate to get it in there properly. As you can see, that those O-rings allow it to sit there very, very solidly. Now, in my view, it kind of backweights a little bit the pen, but we're dealing with acrylic and titanium, which are a lot lighter. But surprisingly enough, for that length, which is almost 180 millimeters, the pen is fairly comfortable, even posted. So even posted with such a ridiculous length, I feel like the pen is very, very comfortable. Tom, that's why I think this thing is just an absolute winner. Now, there must be a way, and I don't remember if Doodlebud figures it out for us. I forget now, but I'm trying to align that nib so that it lands, being a little bit OCD, and like a lot of us are in this community, I can't get the nib to get lined up. So there must be a way. If any of the viewers, if you have any suggestions, I know you can fool around with it and figure out where, and how much it has to be in order to get there. But I just haven't had the time to fool around with it, but I'm sure there's a way. You know what I'm looking forward to doing, and I think I saw it on one of the Conids, is to put a gold nib or a gold colored nib on that section, and to make it kind of, so you'll have that contrast between the titanium and the gold. I think that would be an interesting way of doing things. So when I get fed up with that nib, or if that nib doesn't meet the standards that I'm hoping it will, maybe that's what I'll do. Instead of putting a silver colored or a steel colored Bach, I would put even a titanium Bach. I've got a few titanium Bach nibs. So there you have it. That's the outside and the inside of this pen. I think it is absolutely a gorgeous writing instrument. Chapeau to, hats off to Asvine. We've been waiting for a nice pen. It's March, 3 months in, and this is the first Chinese pen that's worthy of very much praise, I would say. There you have it. Why don't we do a pen and size comparison, measurements, and then we'll take care of that writing sample. I will be right back. So here is a series of pens. I've decided to compare the pen to other demonstrators in my collection. This is the subject pen, and as you can see, it's probably amongst the longest, at least. Does not have the girth, perhaps, that the Majon has, which is this one here. That is the Asvine. Is it the P36, I believe? So it's the piston, I guess a piston version of the subject pen. But I got to tell you, the V200 is a much nicer pen. And even this P36, I realized, may have some characteristics of the Conid, but having said that, I prefer the V200 by a mile. Here's the Opus 88. Yeah, the Opus is slightly longer now that I just put it properly. You could see even the Majon is just a little bit touched there, but not much. Here's the TWSBI Dieman 580, and this is it the 355? Yeah, this is the Pen BBS 355 demonstrator, and also a vacuum filler. So there you have them. That's a comparison of the pens posted. Now here are the same pens uncapped and unposted. Now I switched the Majon with the subject pen just so that it sits next to its sister pen, which is the P36, to give you an idea of the differences. Apart from the obvious, you could see the section is almost identical. And this P36 does have a Bach nib. And what I may very well do is take that Bach nib and put it on my favorite of the two, because I think the Bach nib just has a different length there. So would go very nicely. And in fact, let me just see if it fits the barrel. Yeah, it does. It would. It's not perfect. I got to tell you, it's not perfect. So there must be differences. I thought perhaps that section would. But Doodlebud, I believe, mentioned that there were some changes they made to the threading. You see, this one fits much nicer. So that could explain why one doesn't go into the other, if you will. And maybe there's less threads on the new one compared to the old one. In any event, there you have the comparison of the pens. Now, in terms of length, it's a nice size, even unposted, as you can see. But the Opus will beat everyone in terms of girth and length, because it's a huge, oversized pen. Even the 355, I must say, is much longer than one would expect. Even the TWSBI has some nice length, uncapped. So those are the pens uncapped. In terms of posted, I just realized that maybe my choice of pens is not the greatest, because none of these really post very nicely, including the P36 because I think that it ends up affecting that piston knob. This one doesn't post. This barely posts. And I don't think it's, you know, it's comfortable. This one doesn't at all, and this one doesn't. So at the end of the day, maybe our Asvine V200 is the best poster of the whole gang here. So there you have the pens posted. So we are back with the writing sample. First of all, the paper is Tomoe River Galen leather notepad. It's plain, no lining, but I'm using this guide sheet to guide me through this. In terms of the ink, it's this Van Dieman's Yuan Pine. I saw Doodlebud put green ink in his pen, and it looked really, really nice, I got to say. But he had this very light green, and I thought this would have been light enough. Here's the swatch of the ink right here, Van Dieman's Yuan line right here. But when you look at the pen, it just doesn't have that same light-colored green, so it's kind of darkish. By the way, just so that you could see that it filled, what is it, maybe half. That's with two shots at it. Maybe I'm not doing it right, but so it would require more than one attempt to get that thing filled. But I figured there's enough ink in there, and I like when the ink kind of goes back and forth that way, swashes like that. It's fine. So there you have the ink and the paper, and let's proceed with the writing sample. So this is the Asvine V200. The nib in this pen is the Asvine number 6 steel, and it's a fine nib. The ink that we're using today is Van Dieman's Yuan line. Very nice. The nib is very, 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 very nice. In terms of very wet. Excellent. Must say, just a hint of pencil feedback. Very constant. Is it springy? Let's just see. It's got a little bit of a spring, and I think if you push it, you can get some line variation there. Not very good at this, but you can see you can get a much thicker line out of this nib. So it does have slight spring, but you know what? I wouldn't fool around with that. Otherwise, you'll just ruin the nib. So reverse writing. Ugh, no. I mean, you can get away with it. Get a thinner line there, and it does look like it's not even drying up on us. But I cringe every time I do that. But my viewers want it, so you got it. So at the end of the day, and I just hope I didn't ruin that nib. It's very wet, very smooth, and very constant. I'm pleased. I'm glad I got saved the $15, and I'm glad I got the Asvine fine. Likes. and dislikes. I mean, I like everything about this pen. I like the design. I don't care if it's inspired. I like the design. Simple. The build quality is just top notch. I like its size. I like the materials it uses, you know, with that titanium. I like the fact that it's a vacuum filler. I like the nib. The only dislike that I would have for this pen is the fact that I'm struggling to have it aligned. So it's the alignment. You know, I wish there was a way that I could just very simply make sure it aligns properly. I'm sure there's a way, and I'll figure it out, or somebody will write to me and say, Vincent, do this, do that, and we'll get it right. But that's really the only downside. In terms of value, I think this pen is going for, with the Asvine nib, roughly $48 US, and I think that's excellent value. And I gotta say something about value. I think that, because I know that some reviewers have been, you know, very disappointed with the amount of money they're paying for some of the pens that didn't kind of come through. You know, one example is the Majon P138, which is going for $75. The Admoc M800, you know, it's going for $60, $70. The Young Deans are not cheap either. I think other than Jinhao, which I don't know how they do it, but they must be because they're probably the biggest pen manufacturers, where their prices are really ridiculously low. You've got to realize these days with inflation and with just our world economy the way it is, everything's gone up, okay? And even in China, I'm sure. So, or at least that's the excuse they're using because the prices have gone up. So I think the days of $25 pens, those days are gone. Okay, and look, it's 2024, right? So value 48, I think it's excellent value. Will this be a go-to pen? Oh, you bet. I mean, I've been looking forward to having a Conid-like pen in my repertoire for years. It's definitely going to be a go-to pen for me. So there you have it. I strongly recommend it. The minute you get off this, you just order it. Don't ask any questions. The only question you need to ask is what size nib and which nib, the Bach or the Asvine. And the Asvine, folks, I mean, it is a little bit smaller. So in terms of look, you know, I like the look of the Bach much better. But if you want to save yourself $15, $20, you know what? Get the Asvine. So there you have it. Let me just sign my review. Well recommended. I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend it. It's a great pen, folks. You can't go wrong. I think in every respect, you're getting quality, you're getting look, you're getting elegance, you're getting you know, a pen that's easily manipulated, it's well balanced, it's comfortable, like it has everything going for it. So there you have it, folks. I think Doodlebud is right. I forget what his final verdict was, but I believe it was positive. Certainly mine is very, very positive. Go for it, guys. If you have the $50 and you have the inclination and you don't mind a pen that's been inspired by another, my feeling is you should go for it. Grazie molto, ragazzi. And as some other reviewer said, if you reach this far into the video, then please subscribe. It's good for the YouTube algorithm, and it encourages everybody, if you will. But I'm having a ball. I'm having a ball. Grazie molto. Arrivederci. Arrivederci.